Hello and welcome to the August 2023 Gaming PC Builds of the Month. My name is Corey with NewbComputerBuild.com. Welcome to the August update here for the Gaming PC Builds. Overall, if this is your first time here, we go through a series of different budgets, depending on what your budget is, and for those that are building new gaming PCs to game on, or just building PCs in general, this may be of value to you. So this is our August update for 2023. The builds that we'll be going through today are ones in the range of $1,500, $1,000, $800, and $500. Keep in mind, I will also, as I go through those, sprinkle in some upgrade alternatives. So if your budget's kind of a little more, a little less, that sort of thing, that you can accommodate your budget to fit. I do also want to kind of throw out there the updates for the month for August 2023. There's been quite a few dollar decreases, particularly in the $1,500 build and the $500 build. $1,800 builds are both the same in terms of cost-wise, and they're kind of on the mark with the budget. But the $1,500 build is way below $1,500, and the $500 build is actually closer to $400. In fact, it's pretty much $400 this month, which leaves plenty of room for upgrades. So if that is your budget and you're just planning an entry-level gaming PC, so tune in for that one. But pay attention to some of the updates there, as if you really want to increase your performance there, you might need to spend a little more than $500, and I'll tell you why once we get there. All right, let's start with the first build here, the $1,500 gaming PC build of the month for August 2023. So jumping into the $1,500 build, this build's at the higher range kind of one. Of course, you can spend more money on your build, and I'll show you some upgrade suggestions for that once we get to the end of this build. But however, this build is for those that really want to play any game out there, max out settings, and we're talking at 1080p, 1440p resolutions, and even play quite well into 4K resolutions without a hiccup, without a problem. But you might need to scale back in some games at the really, really high resolutions in 4K, at 4K, for example. But this should play everything out there. So this is that build. If this is what you're looking for, this is the budget that I'd aim for. And all these builds are put together with regards to price per performance in mind. So obviously there's some suggestions within these builds that might not fit your style, or what may it be. Like the case, for example, the case that's I include in all the builds are basically the case that, highly rated cases that are kind of budget friendly, that do the job. And so they'll be kind of decent cooling, all that sort of thing, but your style may be different. So you might want to account for that, for example. Well, let's jump into it. The $1,500 build. So the CPU in this one is the AMD Ryzen 5 7600X CPU, coming in at $199.99 at the moment, at the beginning of the month. This is on sale right now. In fact, typically I recommend the 7600X, as it performs a little bit better than the 7600. It's actually less than the 7600 non-X this month, so I would definitely recommend it. Keep in mind, if you do want to go with the 7600, it comes with a cooler, whereas this one does not. So that is the difference, and it'll come out in the wash cost-wise. So keep an eye out for that if you're kind of going back and forth, or if the price of the 7600 changes, the 7600 is still a viable, or is a kind of viable alternative. All right, moving on. Like I said, no cooler included, so I've included here the Noctua NH-U12S Redux air cooler at $54.95. Motherboard for this is the MSI Pro B650p Wi-Fi Pro Series motherboard at $188.26. Again, like I write in the title there, it has onboard Wi-Fi, which is great. So you don't have to worry about connecting through a wired connection, and also a pretty decent board for one of the new AMD Ryzen 7000 series desktop processors. For the graphics card, the real power driver for this build, we have the Zotac Gaming GeForce RTX 4070 this month. This is a newerish card, and it was first introduced in this build last month, so kind of significantly increased the performance last month, and it's still included this month. This comes in at $599.99 at the moment. Moving on, for memory, we have a Crucial kit of 32 gigabyte memory, two 16 gigabyte sticks here, 4,800 megatransfers per second in this kit for $80.99. I do want to throw out there, typically 16 gigs was included in this build as the kind of base memory. However, I'm bumping it up to 32 gigs as it fits perfectly into the $1,500 build. In fact, the $1,500 build is quite affordable at the moment, as I'd mentioned prior. So moving on, storage for this one I'm recommending right now is the Crucial P3 plus 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. Beginning of the month here is $44.99. Power supply is the Corsair RM series RM 850 watt power supply, $139.99. This has gone up just slightly right now, just a note, versus last month. And then the case we have here is the Corsair 4000D. This is a I love this case, and I've loved this case for quite a while, and it's been out for quite a while. So the Corsair 4000D comes in at $89.99 for a total at the beginning of the month here in August, $1,399. So like I said, well under $1,500. So that's super. That's awesome. Yeah. So if you're looking for the $1,500 build, there is room for upgrades. And as I mentioned, just going to jump over here. Some upgrade ideas should you have more to spend. Well, you can go all out and boost your gaming performance instantly and go with an RTX 4070 Ti, such as a PNY RTX 4070 Ti. Right now, this one coming out at $782.79. That would be a very viable upgrade. You can go with one of the highest performing gaming CPUs out there, the AMD Ryzen 9 7950 X3D. This is, and keep in mind, no bundle cooler in this one as well, so you still need a cooler. This is a phenomenal CPU. So this is a $649 right now. So that would be a viable upgrade as well. You could double your memory. Go with a 64 gig kit of Crucial memory here. DDR5, same kit that's included, but double the memory for $149.99. Or you can get an alternative cooling, such as this liquid cooler here, the Be Quiet BW008 Pure Loop 360 millimeter all-in-one cooler, $124.90. So some ideas should you have more to spend or want to upgrade in the future. Going to move on here to the next build. So for August 2023, the $1,000 gaming PC build of the month, the update for this month for this one is it's pretty steady, pretty much the same. So if you've been keeping up with these updates and your budget's $1,000, nothing too much to scream home about this month. But for those of you that are new, let's kick it off. CPU for this one is the AMD Ryzen 5 7600. That's the 7600 non-X, coming in at $219.99. This includes a cooler, so we're not including one, but you could add one if you want to. The stock cooler is the AMD Wraith Stealth cooler. Included motherboard that I've included here is the Gigabyte B650M DS3H. Micro ATX board, so a very compact board that kind of does the trick here, $149.99. And then the memory, or not memory, sorry, before the memory, graphics card included for this build is the Asus Dual GeForce RTX 4060 Ti, $399.99. And I didn't mention prior, but the $1,000 build will give you tremendous ultra gaming performance at 1440p and 1080p performance. A little more scaled back than the $1,500 build, mind you, but still, it'll still do pretty well at those resolutions. Memory we have is a Crucial kit of 16 gigabyte 4800 megahertz memory here, 2 8 gigabyte sticks, sorry, for $39.99. Storage is the Crucial P3 1 terabyte NVMe SSD for $44.99. Power supply to power this one is the EVGA Supernova 650 G5, so 650 watt power supply, $109.99. And then the case to put it all together is the Zalman S2 for $54.99, coming in at a swift $1,027 at the beginning of August 2023. Moving on to the second last build, the updates for the $800 gaming PC build of the month. So the $800 build, again, like the $1,000 build, not too many changes, slight refinements, I think, in terms of the prices, but that's about it. And there were significant updates to this build last month. So again, not many changes since last month, other than slight cost fluctuations. So let's get into it. The CPU for the $800 gaming PC build of the month is the Intel Core i3 13100F gaming CPU. Not gaming CPU, just the CPU for a gaming PC. This one comes in at $115. We're including the stock Intel laminar cooler, so no cost associated with that. Motherboard we have is the Gigabyte B760M DS3H micro ATX motherboard, $119.99. The graphics card for this one is the PowerColor AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT this month, $349.99. And then the memory for this one is the Corsair Vengeance LPX 16 gigabyte kit of DDR4 3600 megahertz memory at $41.99. If you do want to get into the DDR5 space, that's where you want to consider the builds that were mentioned at the beginning here with the $1,500 build, as we've made the move over to that. However, with the kind of lower end budgets, such as the $800, $500 builds, we're still on DDR4. Nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, the prices are reflected quite well in these builds, which make them a great value at the moment. Storage we have is a Crucial P3 1 terabyte NVMe SSD at $39.99. Power supply, a PVA Prestige 600 watt power supply, $51.99. And then the Zalman S2 mid-tower gaming PC case at $54.99 for a total of $814 here at the beginning of August 2023. moving on to the last build, the $500 gaming PC build of the month. This is an interesting build, especially this month. It's an interesting build. Who is this build for? Well, I mean, it's a very, very entry-level gaming PC build. It'll get you gaming. It'll get you gaming all right at 720p. It'll get you gaming all right at 1080p. Obviously scaled back significantly in most games, but you'll be able to play, which is great. And the reason for that is it's you know, an affordable budget PC. It also doesn't include a graphics card as we're using the integrated graphics on the CPU. However, a lot of potential because you can also add a graphics card later, which will significantly boost the gaming performance of this build. But I do want to mention as I get to the CPU here, the one I chose and why, and then kind of alternatives you can choose if you wanted to kind of scale right now versus later and that sort of thing. So let's get started. So the $500 gaming PC build of the month for August 2023. The CPU here we have is the AMD Ryzen 5 5600G CPU at $127.56. If you've been keeping up to date with these builds prior, I've included the AMD Ryzen 7 5700G, which is the one up from this CPU, which also has integrated graphics. However, it's significantly more expensive at $177.10. I mean, a little bit more expensive. However, the performance per dollar spent here it's not quite there, as you might gain about 5% performance in terms of gaming performance. So if you do want to bump up to that one, go for it. In fact, I was recommending it prior. However, right now, I just don't see the point. You might as well save that money and put it into a graphics card later on. Yeah, so let's move on. The cooler included with this one is the AMD Race Stealth cooler, so it's included, no cost associated with that one. Motherboard is the Asus TUF Gaming A520M Plus Wi-Fi motherboard. Micro ATX board at $99.99. This is a pretty decent board for this build, as it does include onboard Wi-Fi for quite a budget build, which is kind of cool. Like I said, no graphics card here. We're using the integrated Radeon RX graphics included. Memory we have is Corsair Vengeance LPX 16GB kit, DDR4 3600 MHz kit of memory, $41.99. Storage is Crucial P3 1TB NVMe SSD at $39.99. 1TB, plenty of starting room here for a budget build. In fact, if you wanted to save a few more dollars, you could scale back to a 500GB NVMe SSD and save a little bit, but that's up to you if you're really trying to nickel and dime your budget build. But 1TB, plenty of space for any starter PC, in my opinion. Power supply, Thermaltake Smart 500 watt power supply to power this one at $39.99. Then the case to bring it all together is the Zalman S2 mid-tower gaming PC case at $54.99. This build, like I had said, very low. Cost is very low right now, $406. In fact, it's gone down every single month. Like the only change this month, like I said, is moving to the cheaper 5600G CPU. But again, we're only saving, what is this? $40, $50 or something like that. So that's why it's so cheap this month. But again, it was also under $500 last month. So plenty of room here. So, but I'm going to jump over to some, if you're in this budget range, some upgrade alternatives for this one. So if you did want to kind of go all out initially, this will be more like a 600 to 700, I think, gaming PC. If you wanted to, for example, switch to an AMD Ryzen 5 5600, which is a better CPU overall, but not with integrated graphics, that would set you back $144.99 at the moment. And then you would need a graphics card. So such as this one, for example, this Gigabyte Radeon RX 6500 XT, which would give you way better gaming performance than the base $500 build at $220.79 for this GPU. So that combined with the Ryzen 5 5600 would give you a pretty well-rounded PC right off the bat. So if you didn't want to use if you had a little more to spend, a little more than $400, mind you. And then the memories, if you had some if you just wanted to upgrade some other pieces of this build, you could go with 32 gigs of memory for $69.99, or kind of double your storage with a Crucial P3 2TB NVMe SSD for $82.60. Well, that does it for this month. I know I didn't get into, actually, what I'll get into right before the end here is, because I kind of glossed over it, was some upgrade suggestions for the $1,000 build and $800 build. Again, if you want to see more builds and more upgrade alternatives, do visit the site newbcomputerbuild.com. But I just noticed I just skipped over the $1,000 build upgrade alternatives. So on the $1,000 build, again, you can upgrade to kind of an all-in-one cooling, like the Be Quiet BW006, or to a better graphics card like the RTX 4070, double your storage with a Crucial P3 2TB NVMe SSD, or a CPU upgrade, such as the Ryzen 5 7600X. But you will need a cooler if you go with that. And then jumping over the $800 build, again, just to remind you, the CPU in the $800 build, and I apologize for jumping around here, going back to the $800 build, the CPU that was included was the Intel Core i3-13100F. So a viable upgrade could be the i5-13400F at $206.99, or a better graphics card like the RTX 4060 Ti, or double the storage with a crucial P3 2TB NVMe SSD at $82.70. My apologies if I was skipping around. Yeah, hopefully you can kind of scroll to the beginning here for a recap, or jump over to the site at newbcomputerbuild.com, where we post these gaming PC builds every single month. So if you have any questions or comments and you're building a PC right now, feel free. Leave a comment on the site. Leave a comment on where you're listening or watching to this update. But other than that, best of luck building your next gaming PC. Thank you.